This video is not a dig at any individual person, but rather an overall observation. Hello, it's December 2021, and I'm going to be talking about something that I'm sure everyone can relate to when dealing with social groups online. And there's even tons of memes about how people argue over this one example. Somebody shows a twig or a branch, whatever you want to look at, however you want to look at it, and they will argue over what it is. Is it a twig or is it a branch? I like to use the analogy of pineapple on pizza, how a lot of people will argue and hate each other and wish death and everything over is pineapple on pizza acceptable or not. It's amazing. And a lot of people, and I've said this over the years a few times in videos, a lot of people forget that when you're trying to express a thought or replying to someone else's thought in text, and this applies to social media groups as well as even text messages on your cell phone, even emails, and you're trying to express something, but you're trying to be quick, you know, trying to be as short as possible, but you're trying to make a point, and how people will go off on a tangent and even start wishing death on people for whatever. And a lot of the times they're even on the same page on that particular topic, but for whatever reason something gets lost in translation, and then there's trying to explain and everything else. And then sometimes if you follow a thread of comments and replies, you'll see, oh yeah, okay, we're talking the same thing, just a different phrasing, or as a descriptive, a different language, how to express something, still in the same language, but you get what I mean. And it's amazing. And even in recent videos I've talked about how there's a social divide even when people have common ground on a topic, like, for example, current worldwide events. In either camp we have a divide. Now take, for example, people who are not accepting current worldwide events or what's being imposed. There's such it's so fractured that, for example, some people within that camp will say, well, yeah, there's something, but the solution for that something, if you get my drift, is wrong. There's another solution. I mean, you can just go on. And then I've talked a lot about social justice movements and everything else, really dividing people. And you see within groups, whichever camp, where you have previous social justice movements, current worldwide events is the largest social justice movement that we know of worldwide, and there's no escaping it. Just totally fracturing people. Now, I'm going to make a point here. So, for example, the people who are not going along with the official narratives with current worldwide events and what's being imposed, they're seeing through that as a descriptive. But they'll have other things that they will accept, forgetting that these other social justice movements, whatever narratives that are being presented with them, come from the same source that is dividing people today with current worldwide events. And I really struggle trying to understand how people are missing that. And although I'm trying to be neutral as I'm mentioning this, word crafting here, they'll look and say, well, here's the truth, but then they can't see the truth in other things, which is causing a divide. Okay, so, and I've spent, actually this is going to be kind of an interesting segue on my journey through whistleblowing, exposing firsthand knowledge. So real quick, as a summary, and there's a lot of new subscribers and people now following me. In 2012, I became aware of sexual abuse of vulnerable women, sex trafficking. And I was invited to participate, and I didn't want anything to do with it. Well, they should have did at the time. is just left the organization and moved on, but that's a different topic. And I did talk about that in a few videos years ago. And then whoever was actually behind all this, the female that was pointed out to me falsely accused myself and a male coworker of some sort of sexual assault. So now that turned into a false allegation, which no one wanted to talk to me about. Apparently there was a police investigation going on in this whole 9 years, but no one wanted to talk to me about it. So I took it upon myself to gather the evidence to vindicate myself, as well as evidence from this particular female. This is where the audio recordings came in, to get her testimony, her evidence recorded of what's going on. But for myself, that was a false allegation. And then by May 4th, 2013, it turned into police brutality. And then that turned into police, judicial, and political corruption. So there's different elements to my story, and this is where it gets complicated for many people. And then over the years, after the false allegation, for example, I was reaching out to trying to find some men's support groups and stuff, because it was very traumatic for me to learn of this. And I couldn't understand why there's no men's groups. And there were groups that were, I'm going to say supposedly for men and women, but when you contact them, they're primarily they're only dealing with women, which is fine. I'm not saying here or there. But what that did was it put me on a tangent to find out why. And then why are allegations, false allegations, so taken like beyond crazy serious. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that when real events happen to men and women that it's not serious, especially to them. But there, with no support for men and everything else, I started to look into why. And that put me on years of research with regards to feminism. I've done videos on all this, so in detail. So anyway, my whole point is years of research and understanding that particular social justice movement, why it prevented men from having anything established to help them. And then with the police brutality side, that put me on a separate tangent simultaneously. Well, what's going on here really? And then as things were progressing over the years with the courts and everything, and plus my own personal and professional experiences with that, I started simultaneously looking into all that. And that had given me over the years a deep understanding of what's happening in the world today and why things will or will not happen depending on which camp you're in. And with all that knowledge, this is what I'm trying to share with people. And I really try to highlight the breakdown within any group, any camp, any social justice movement, all the divides. So you can have common ground, as I said in a previous video, with a main topic, but it's all fractured with everything else. And then as soon as you bring up, oh, I don't mind pineapple on pizza, I think it's great, all of a sudden, boom, you're an outcast because the majority of that group is opposed to that. You see what I'm getting at? Society, human beings have been so fractured by everything that to have any kind of cohesion for any success on anything is extremely difficult. And then people will hate. It's almost as if most people will look for a reason to hate, to dismiss, to vilify. Just want to give you some things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. When all that's left in civilization is caring for feelings and entertainment, you know we reach the age of decadence.